One look at the human Titan-class ship. One strike, a galaxy. Held its breath, the Galactic Council chamber fell into an unprecedented silence as the holographic display materialized in the center of the vast amphitheater. Representatives from 47 species sat frozen in their seats, their various forms of breathing apparatus working overtime as they processed what they were witnessing. Ambassador Zixathera of the Calorian Empire, her crystalline carapace reflecting the blue glow of the hologram, was the first to break the silence. This cannot be accurate. Run the scan again. Fleet Admiral Chen Nakamura of the Terran Federation stood calmly at the podium, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. The human's expression remained neutral as the technicians complied with the ambassador's request. The second scan yielded identical results. The holographic representation of the one strike rotated slowly, its dimensions scrolling alongside in multiple galactic languages. 23 kilometers in length, 8 kilometers in width, 4 kilometers in height. The numbers alone were staggering, but it was the ship's configuration that truly sent ripples of unease through the assembled delegates. Honored representatives, Admiral Nakamura began, his voice carrying easily through the chamber's acoustics. I present to you humanity's newest addition to our defensive fleet, the One Strike, our first Titan-class dreadnought. Counselor Vrakth of the Hegemony Coalition leaned forward, his 6 eyes narrowing to pinpoints. Defensive? Admiral, with respect, that vessel appears to be designed for one purpose only: complete annihilation. The human admiral's lips curved into what other species had learned to recognize as a diplomatic smile. Counselor Vrakth raises an excellent point. The One Strike is indeed designed for complete annihilation of any threat to galactic peace. A collective shudder ran through the chamber. In the 300 years since humanity had joined the Galactic Council, they had consistently surprised the other species with their approach to warfare. Where others sought elegant solutions and minimal casualties, humans embraced what they called overwhelming force multiplication. Ambassador Talara of the Wise Communion rose gracefully, her telepathic tendrils swaying with agitation. Admiral, the psychic resonance from your crew alone suggests this vessel houses nearly 500 million beings. Are you telling us you've essentially constructed a mobile planet? Not quite a planet, Ambassador, Nakamura replied with that same unsettling smile. More like a self-contained civilization with very large weapons. The hologram zoomed in to display the ship's armament specifications. The assembled delegates watched in growing horror as the details unfurled. 1,200 quantum torpedo tubes, 800 plasma cannon arrays, 200 fusion beam projectors, and at the ship's core, something labeled simply as Stellar Class Energy Projection System. High Inquisitor Moldaxi of the Sacred Order stood abruptly, his tentacles writhing with indignation. This is madness. That weapon system, you're describing technology that could destabilize a star. Admiral Nakamura nodded thoughtfully. Theoretically, yes, though we prefer to think of it as stellar renovation capabilities, quite useful for clearing asteroid fields or dealing with rogue planets that might threaten shipping lanes. The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives from dozens of species began speaking simultaneously in their native tongues, creating a cacophony that the translation systems struggled to process. Only the ancient Praetor Vexani of the First Dominion remained seated, their ancient eyes fixed on the human admiral with something approaching respect. Silence! The command came from Supreme Chancellor Korth, the massive Bronthan's voice reverberating through the chamber with enough force to rattle the architecture. As quiet returned, he fixed his gaze on Nakamura. Human, explain to us why your species believes it necessary to construct what amounts to a weapon of galactic destruction. Admiral Nakamura's expression grew serious. Chancellor, 3 months ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected something beyond the galactic rim. Something vast, something hostile, Our xenobiologists estimate it to be a synthetic construct, roughly the size of a small moon, heading directly for populated space. The chamber fell silent once more, but this time the quality of the silence had changed. Fear replaced indignation. The entity appears to be consuming stellar material as it travels, Nakamura continued. Our projections suggest it will reach the outer colonies within 18 months. Traditional fleet engagements would be insufficient. Praetor Vexani finally spoke, their voice carrying the weight of millennia. And you believe this? One strike can stop such a threat? Alone? No. Nakamura's honesty surprised many in the chamber. But it's not meant to operate alone. The One Strike is the first of 12 Titan-class vessels currently under construction. They're designed to operate as a coordinated battle group. The implications hit the assembled delegates like a physical blow. 12 vessels of this magnitude would represent a fleet capable of reducing entire star systems to cosmic dust. Ambassador Zix Thara's carapace had shifted to a deep red, a sign of extreme agitation. Among her people, Admiral, you're describing the construction of a force capable of conquering the entire galaxy. Yes, Nakamura agreed simply. We are, but that's not our intention. Our intention is to ensure there's still a galaxy left to govern when this threat arrives. The human pulled up another holographic display, this one showing stellar cartography data. Red markers indicated confirmed sightings of the approaching entity. Yellow markers showed estimated trajectories. The pattern was unmistakable. Whatever was coming had already consumed 3 uninhabited star systems. Honored delegates, Admiral Nakamura said, humanity learned long ago that there are 2 types of civilizations in this universe. Those that prepare for the worst and those that become cautionary tales. We choose to be the former. Supreme Chancellor Korth leaned back in his massive chair, the metal groaning under his weight. And what assurance do we have that these weapons won't be turned against council members? The human admiral's smile returned, but this time it carried genuine warmth. Chancellor, in 300 years of membership, has humanity ever broken a treaty with the council? No, Korth admitted grudgingly. Then you have our word, backed by our history. The Titan fleet exists for one purpose, to preserve the galaxy from existential threats. Nothing more, nothing less. Praetor Vexani rose slowly, their ancient frame somehow commanding despite its frailty. I have witnessed the rise and fall of 17 galactic civilizations. In every case, destruction came not from conquest, but from the inability to face extinction-level threats with extinction-level responses. They paused, their gaze sweeping the chamber. I support the human initiative. The vote, when it came, was closer than Admiral Nakamura had hoped, but sufficient for authorization. As the session concluded and delegates began filing out, many cast nervous glances at the still-rotating hologram of the One Strike. In the corridors outside the chamber, conversations carried in hushed tones. The galaxy had just learned that humanity, the species many still considered relative newcomers, had quietly become its most formidable military power. As news of the council session spread through hyperspace communication networks, an interesting phenomenon occurred. Pirate raids dropped by 60% within a week. Border disputes that had simmered for decades suddenly found peaceful resolutions. Several rogue states announced their intention to rejoin the Galactic Compact. The One Strike hadn't fired. A single shot hadn't even left its construction dock. But its mere existence had shifted the balance of power in ways that no one had anticipated. Admiral Nakamura, reviewing these reports from his quarters aboard the vessel, allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity had learned something important during their long climb from planetary to galactic civilization. Sometimes the best weapon was the one you never had to use. Outside his viewport, stars wheeled in their eternal dance, unaware that somewhere In the darkness beyond, something ancient and hungry was drawing closer with each passing day. The galaxy had held its breath at the sight of human might. Soon it would discover whether that might would be enough.